There is nothing more awkward than when a boy that you do not like, that you are not interested in, declares his love for you in the middle of school. Can you imagine it? Being standing there in front of everyone, with all those students staring your way, and you just know they'll be waiting for your answer, eager for some gossip. That's exactly what happened to me a few months ago. A boy named Kevin joined our class. I could tell that he liked me. That's why I did my best to send signals that let him know I simply wasn't into him. I tried so hard to keep him from getting his hopes up. But that morning, while I was putting away some books in my locker, I felt someone nervously touching my shoulder. When I turned, I saw him standing there with that smile that was just a bit too wide, just this side of creepy. He was holding this big bouquet of flowers and almost thrusting them onto my face. The whole hall suddenly became silent. If you've ever been a teenager, you know how awful that is, when all eyes are on you. I felt like I was pushed into the spotlight and knew it was going to be so uncomfortable. "Kevin, what do you want?" I asked, unable to hide my bewilderment and annoyance. He smiled even wider, running his free hand through his hair, inhaling deeply like he was searching for courage. "Sophia, I've always liked you, and I really think we're meant to be together." Believe me when I say my eyes almost popped out of their sockets. I wanted to bury my head in the ground and pretend I wasn't there. I wanted to scream at him to get the hint. I simply did not like him. But since this was the first time he actually asked me out, I figured I needed to be gentle about my rejection, even if he had put me in the spotlight. "Look, I'm not interested, Kevin. I'm sorry if I ever gave you the impression that I liked you that way. I really would rather just remain friends." Oh, the look of anger in his eyes was so fierce, I was afraid he was going to hit me. He stared at me as if I was some kind of monster for daring to reject him. "Sophia, I'm standing here with flowers. How can you reject me?" he snapped, making me shake my head in annoyance. Was he really saying that to me? "We're meant to be together. You just need to accept it." I was about to snap at him when the bell rang. Well, I was certainly saved by the bell. I took the opportunity to escape him, somewhat frightened by his creepy intensity. The rest of the school day, I did everything in my power to avoid him, even though that meant spending most of my free time in the girls' bathroom. In the afternoon, I arrived home, feeling exhausted, stressed, and worried. I had the creepy feeling Kevin would appear like some kind of vampire or zombie, jumping out of a dark corner. Fortunately, instead of finding that creepy guy, I was delighted to see my mom sitting in the living room, waiting for me, with a big bowl filled with my favorite snacks. "Mom, what are you doing here so early?" "Ooh, are those my favorite chocolates?" I asked, hugging her tightly, really happy to see her. I sat by her side and munched on a piece of chocolate. That was exactly what I needed. She smiled brightly at me and nodded. "Hi, dear. Yes, I decided to come home early and have a talk with you." I frowned lightly, wondering what could possibly be that important. Still, it had to be good news, right? Because Mom had such a big smile on her face. "What's up, Mom?" I smiled playfully and teased her. "Oh, don't tell me you're going to finally confess that I'm adopted or something like that." She bursted out laughing, shaking her head as I joined in. "You silly girl. We look exactly the same. Everyone says so," she replied, still chuckling lightly. "Well, then tell me. Come on, just blurt it out. You clearly have something you need to get off your chest, and by the look of that big bowl of chocolates, it's something huge." "Well, I have some good news," she finally said, and then, suddenly, Mom blurted out, "I'm getting married." I opened my eyes and gasped loudly, clearly caught by surprise. I knew she was sort of dating someone, but I had never met him, and I certainly couldn't have known it was this serious. "Really? Mom, you should have let me meet him before getting engaged. This is, well, it's insane, but it's also great. I'm so happy for you, Mom," I squealed, confused but ready to support my mom. After all, since Dad passed away, it had been really hard for my mother to find happiness again. I needed to be there for her and support her decision. Less than a week after that, The time to meet my future stepfather and stepbrother arrived. Mom organized a lavish dinner party, and she was so jittery, trying to make sure everything was perfect. She even bought me a brand new dress to impress the guests of honor. I heard someone ringing the bell, and I nodded to Mom, indicating that I'd be the one answering the door. After all, I was the one that needed to get to know the guests. My smile froze on my lips as I saw who was standing there, though. The older guy I'd never seen before, but the younger one? It was Kevin.
Sophia, you see, I was right. This was meant to be,
he told me immediately, hugging me like we were lovers or something. God, right that instant, all I wanted to do was run away or close the door in his face, but I couldn't. Mom was really looking forward to all of us getting along with each other. Kevin, I can't believe we're going to be siblings, I said, highlighting the word sibling. You know, like brother and sister. If he didn't get the hint, I didn't know what else would make the trick. But oh no, he didn't seem to understand I would never, ever date him. Over the following weeks, Mom announced we'd be moving in together. It was hell, believe me. Kevin kept taking advantage of the fact that I was living under the same roof as he was and followed me everywhere. I didn't have a moment for myself. Every time I agreed to do something with him, even eat at the same table or watch a movie, he made it seem like it was a date. The straw that broke the camel's back was when we were watching TV on the sofa late one night. He leaned toward me all of a sudden and stole my first kiss. I had never kissed a guy before. I was so mad. Believe me, I slapped him hard. But still, he kept on thinking that I was into him. For a while, the slap seemed to do the trick. He was still flirting and hitting on me, but he didn't dare try and touch me. I decided it was time to give him the silent treatment so he'd understand that I was mad at him for ignoring my rejections. That was when Mom called me into her room to have a talk with me. I didn't know what could be wrong, but I was about to find out how messed up family could be. "What's up, Mom?" I asked, sitting next to her. She looked so mad.
"Sophia, we are now a family, and you need to accept it,"
she told me, giving me a frustrated, almost disappointed look.
"You can't keep ignoring your brother. That's not okay. Poor Kevin is so sad. I need you to be nice to him."
I looked at her in complete disbelief. "Mom, aren't you even going to ask me why I don't speak to him?" I protested. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. My mother was taking Kevin's side.
"Look, Sophia, I have already seen how bad you treat him, and I will not allow it. I thought you would be happy that your mother has found happiness again, but it is clear that you are selfish. If you don't change your attitude, I'll have to ground you," she suddenly told me.
And believe me, I was completely stunned. I stared at her in shocked silence for a moment, before silently nodding. "Fine, Mom, I'll speak to him again." So from that day on, I tried to be nice to Kevin, but kept my distance. It all seemed okay at first. That was, until Mom and her future husband left for a date night. That meant I was left alone with Kevin. Well, I decided to busy myself up with chores, just to avoid him. I was cleaning up my bedroom when he stepped in like he owned the place.
"Sophie, we are alone, and you are here doing boring stuff. It's time to enjoy this empty house and make out," he said, trying to grab me.
I pushed him away, so mad and frustrated. "Quit it, okay? This isn't going to happen," I replied, but he didn't seem to care what I was telling him.
"Sophia, you and I are never going to be just siblings. I want to be your boyfriend, and believe me, sooner or later, that'll happen. You're just being stubborn, but I'll get my way in the end."
I opened my eyes wide, unable to believe what he was saying. I was just about to slap him hard when I heard my mom walking in the front door. Kevin blew a kiss and left the room like it was no big deal. I felt so impotent, and it was clear my mom would always take Kevin's side. From that day on, Kevin kept on trying to kiss me, kept on trying to touch me. I felt so scared, so frustrated. Finally, I understood no one in that house was going to help me. So finally I decided I needed to find outside help. I called my Uncle Jack and began sobbing miserably, telling him everything that was going on. "I can't live here any longer. Mom simply won't believe me. I don't know what else to do."
"That's okay, Sophia. I'll talk to your mom. I'll convince her to let you stay with me for a while.
Well, my uncle sure saved me from that hell. Mom was so angry at me that she told me to only come back if I decided to stop being so stubborn and childish. It's like she doesn't even get it. Mom is so happy with her new husband now, and I wasn't even invited to the wedding. At least I can sleep without worrying my creepy stepbrother will sneak into my room and cross a big line. That's how I ended up living with my uncle. Mom won't even call me any longer, and though I miss her, I feel safe for the first time in almost a year. So what would you do if your stepbrother was obsessed with you? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe.